I was running from my fiancé in the rain. Then a stranger with a little girl changed everything. True story of a female CEO. Welcome to Next Chapter Life Stories. Stories of love, loss, and second chances. Please subscribe and share. It truly helps us bring more stories to life. Now let's begin. This is your next chapter. I remember the rain hitting my skin like tiny needles, cold and relentless, as I stumbled down the alley. My ankle screamed in pain with every step. Please don't hurt me. I can't walk, I begged, my voice cracking. I didn't know if anyone would hear me, or if anyone even cared. My white suit was ruined. Mud and rainwater streaked it into something unrecognizable. My blonde hair clung to my face, wet and matted, and I couldn't stop the tears. I had never felt so small in my life. Not in boardrooms, not during investor meetings, not even at those high society events where everyone smiled for the cameras while stabbing each other in the back. None of that compared to this moment. Barefoot, cornered, desperate, clutching my laptop like it was the only thing keeping me alive. Footsteps echoed behind me. Heavy, deliberate. The man was coming closer. My stomach sank. I tried to move faster, but the pain in my ankle made it impossible. I collapsed against the cold concrete, gasping. My heart felt like it was going to explode. Then I heard a voice. A man's voice, calm and steady. Step away from her now. Froze. The shadow of the man behind me stopped. There was a tense silence, broken only by the rain. And then, as if by some miracle, the man backing me had nothing left to threaten. He turned and disappeared into the darkness. I blinked, stunned, as another figure approached. Tall, rugged, carrying a little girl in a faded pink raincoat. The girl's curls bounced as she shifted in his arms. My heart almost stopped when I realized how ordinary they both looked. No designer clothes, no polished shoes, just real people. "Daddy, is she okay?" the girl asked, her voice tiny but firm. The man gently set her down. "Stay here, Lily," he said, and she nodded, clutching a small stuffed rabbit. He knelt beside me. His eyes were kind, unshakable, and something in them made me feel, for the first time that night, that I might actually survive. "You're safe," he said softly. "I've got you." I couldn't speak. My throat was raw, my body shaking from pain and fear. And yet, I believed him. He carried me through the rain, ignoring the wince when my ankle twisted painfully with every small movement. The city around us blurred, neon lights reflecting off wet streets, the smell of damp concrete and exhaust. But inside his arms I felt a strange, unfamiliar warmth. When we reached his apartment, it was nothing like I expected. Cracked floors, peeling paint, a little chaos everywhere. But it was cozy. If real. Lily peeked around the corner, her eyes wide. Tyler, my rescuer, my savior, though I didn't know his name yet, gently lowered me onto a couch. Lily studied me carefully, then asked, "Daddy, why is she crying like me when I miss Mommy?" I stiffened. I wanted to curl into myself, disappear. But Tyler didn't flinch. "She's had a rough night, honey," he said simply. The kindness in that small statement was overwhelming. I had never been treated like this. Not by assistants, not by colleagues, not even by my own family. And suddenly, all my accomplishments, my boardroom victories, my carefully curated life felt meaningless compared to this quiet, messy humanity. Tyler disappeared into the kitchen. I leaned back, still trembling, still clutching my laptop. My ankle throbbed, my chest ached, but it wasn't just physical pain. It was the realization that my life, my carefully constructed, luxurious, controlled life, had nothing to do with safety, love, or being seen for who I really was. By morning, Tyler had made tea, cleaned the small apartment, and even mended my soaked, ruined shoes. On top of the towel he left by the door was a small note. "Your foot's not better yet. You can stay. It's okay." I stared at it for a long moment. No expectations, no judgment, no strings attached. Just kindness. I thought about my life before that night. Boardrooms, hotels, designer dresses, power lunches. Everything measured by profit, influence, and appearances. And yet, nothing had ever felt like this. The warmth of a stranger who didn't expect anything, a little girl who offered you space in her life, a small apartment filled with imperfection and care. Later, Tyler knelt beside me, gently unwrapping my swollen ankle, cleaning it, wrapping it again. I whispered, "You've done this before, haven't you?" "Yeah," he said quietly. "Rescue work, fires, accidents. You learn to stay calm even when the world is falling apart." I wanted to ask more, but the tears came first. I didn't even notice them until my hands were wet. He handed me a tissue without a word, and I felt something shift inside me. Something I hadn't felt in years. Safety, presence, acceptance. And then Lily came, placing a crayon drawing in my lap. 3 figures in front of a garden. A tall man, a little girl, and an empty outline of a woman with golden hair. "That's you," Lily said proudly. "I left the space empty for a long time. I think it's supposed to be you now." I pressed the drawing to my chest, laughing and crying at the same time. "Why me?" I whispered. "Because you're here," Lily said simply. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like a CEO, a pawn in some corporate scheme, or someone defined by other people's expectations. Felt human. Tyler watched quietly from the doorway, and I realized something important. He didn't just see me in that moment. He saw me, the real me, bruised and broken and afraid, and he chose to stay. I stayed there for a long time, breathing in the chaotic warmth of this tiny apartment, the smell of wet clothes, crayons, tea, and safety. My ankle hurt, yes, and I was scared, yes. But for the first time I also felt hope. Part 2. Expanded, 1,300 words. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of ginger tea. Steam curled from a chipped mug sitting on the little table next to the couch. Sunlight sneaked through the thin curtains, and for the first time in forever, I realized I had actually slept. Really slept. No panic, no planning escape routes, no pretending to be untouchable. Tyler was in the kitchen, humming quietly as he moved around the counter. I could hear Lily's tiny voice from the living room. "Daddy, more milk." "Not that much. Wait for the bubbles." I rubbed my eyes and tried to shake off the fog of exhaustion and pain. My ankle still throbbed, but the swelling was down compared to last night. More importantly, I felt alive. "Morning," Tyler said, appearing in the doorway with that easy half-smile. "Ginger tea, just like you like it." I raised an eyebrow. "You remembered." He shrugged like it was nothing. "Old habits. Rescue work, remember. You notice the little things." I smiled, really smiled. That caught Lily's attention, and she ran over, curls bouncing, crayon in hand. "You're awake. Did you sleep? Did you have bad dreams?" "No bad dreams," I lied, though my mind kept replaying last night. The alley, my ankle, David. Lily tugged on my hand. "Sit with me. I want to show you my new drawing." I followed her to the couch, wincing as I put weight on my injured ankle. Tyler noticed immediately and, without asking, held out his arm. I stiffened, but then slowly leaned on him. That small gesture made me feel safe. Lily plopped onto the couch and laid out her crayons like she was commanding an army. "Okay," she said seriously. "This is our family now. You, me, Daddy. I'm teaching you to draw flowers, but you have to promise to stay." I chuckled despite myself. "Promise?" She nodded, sticking out her tiny pinky. "Pinkies don't lie." I linked my pinky with hers. And just like that, something passed between us, a little trust, a little belonging. The next few days were weird, confusing, and kind of comforting all at once. Tyler and I fell into a rhythm. He cooked breakfast, I attempted pancakes, and Lily supervised like a drill sergeant. My first attempt ended with blackened, burnt pancakes, and Lily laughed so hard she snorted milk out her nose. Tyler pretended to scold me, but I could see him grinning behind the dish towel. It was chaotic, messy, nothing like the sterile, ordered life I'd known. I learned how to fold laundry without shrinking everything, how to scrub a sink without thinking in ROI, how to pour cereal without calculating calories. Tyler never made me feel incompetent. He just guided me, gently, quietly, patiently. But it wasn't all sunshine. I'm stubborn and used to control. Tyler's easygoing, go-with-the-flow attitude got under my skin more than once. One morning, I tried to rearrange the couch while he was cleaning, and he placed a hand on my shoulder. "Maybe don't move it today," he said. "We'll figure it out later." "I can do it," I insisted, pushing the couch anyway. He didn't argue. He just stepped back, watching me struggle with my swollen ankle. I winced. The couch barely budged. "Tyler!" Huff. He laughed softly. "Exactly. Let me help." That was the first time I realized how long I'd been doing everything alone, never letting anyone help me. It was uncomfortable, almost shameful. But Tyler made it feel safe. Evenings were quiet, reflective. After dinner, we curled up on the couch. Tyler read old adventure novels aloud to Lily, who interrupted constantly with questions about dragons and pirates. I found myself leaning closer, laughing at her commentary, feeling the tension in my chest loosen. One night, I caught Tyler looking at me while Lily was distracted. My heart skipped a beat. "You okay?" I asked, teasing. "Yeah," he said softly. "Just thinking about me." I joked further, though I was nervous. "Maybe," he admitted, smiling that patient, quiet smile. "You're not like anyone I've ever met." I felt my cheeks heat up. For the first time, I wasn't thinking about my ex or corporate politics. I was thinking about Tyler. About Lily. About maybe something new. We even had small conflicts, the kind families have. Scary when you're used to perfection. Like the time Lily insisted she could walk to school alone, and I argued until my voice cracked. "Sweetheart, it's too far. You can't go alone. I'm 6. I can do it." Tyler intervened calmly. "Maybe compromise. You walk halfway, then she meets her friend." I wanted to scream, but somehow his calm made me listen. We compromised. Lily got her independence. I learned patience. A small moment, but it mattered. One rainy afternoon, I slipped in the kitchen while drying dishes. Tyler caught me just in time, holding me steady against his chest. Froze. My heart raced. His hands were steady, grounding, and for a moment I felt completely exposed. "I've got you," he said simply. I nodded, unable to speak. In that moment, the walls I had built, the CEO, the strategist, the woman who always knew what to do, crumbled just a little. We laughed nervously afterward, pretending nothing happened, but I felt it, the undeniable pull growing between us. And Lily noticed first. "Mom, do you like Daddy?" she asked one evening mid-crayon session, blunt as ever. I nearly choked on my tea. Tyler just smiled and shrugged. "Yes, sweetheart," I said softly. "I like him a lot." Lily's face lit up. "Good. I like him too. He's fun. And he helps me not burn pancakes." And in that instant I realized it. Lily had already started calling me Mom in her own way, without pressure, just trust. My chest tightened. I hugged her, whispering, "If you ever need me, sweetheart, I'll always be here." Weeks passed. The apartment slowly filled with routines and rituals. We made pancakes, did laundry, drew with crayons, and argued about TV shows. I learned Tyler's little quirks, the way he hummed when thinking, how he always paired Lily's socks, the small scar on his hand he never talked about. One night, I found him on the balcony staring at the city lights. I joined him, leaning on the railing. "Thinking about the outside world." "Yes. Thinking about this world," he said, gesturing to our messy apartment. "Sometimes the small, quiet things matter the most." He nodded. He was right. The chaos, the laughter, the burnt pancakes. It mattered more than any boardroom, title, or power I'd ever had. But shadows of my old life were still there. Emails from David, from the board. Reminders of the world I once ruled. I deleted most unread, but one got through. A demand to return, to resume control, to play the game again. I stared at it long after Tyler had gone to bed, Lily curled up on the other side of the room. My chest ached. Could I leave this newfound safety? Could I return to that ruthless world? Or had I finally found something worth protecting, something real, messy, imperfect? I didn't have the answer. But for the first time I realized I didn't have to rush. Had a choice. And maybe, just maybe, that choice was mine alone. I still remember the morning my phone buzzed with the message from the board. My chest tightened as I read the words again and again. Return. Restore. Millions waiting. Don't walk away. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. My heart was pounding, but not from fear. This time it was from anger, confusion, and disbelief. I thought about Tyler, about Lily, about our little apartment, our routines, our messy pancakes and crayon-covered tables. And then I thought about David. That smug, arrogant man who thought he could control me because of my title, my name, my inheritance. I closed my laptop with a snap. Enough. Tyler, I called, trying to keep my voice steady. He appeared in the doorway, drying his hands on a checkered towel. I'm not going back, I said flatly. He froze for a moment, then leaned against the counter. You sure? Yes, I said, my voice firmer this time. I've been offered more money than I could ever spend, more power than I could ever wield, but not once did I wake up feeling like I do here. He studied me silently. How do you feel here? Safe, I whispered. And real. He nodded. That was all I needed. The next week, the tension in my life escalated quickly. David didn't take no for an answer. He called, emailed, and even sent one of those glossy corporate lawyers to the apartment. I ignored them all, and Tyler stepped in without a word, blocking the door, guiding Lily behind him. Mom, who are all these people? Lily asked, wide-eyed, gripping her stuffed bunny. They're lost, I said, forcing a laugh. They just don't know where to go. Tyler didn't even glance at me. He knew. He always knew. And in that knowing, I found strength I hadn't realized I had. The confrontation with David came sooner than I expected. I walked into the boardroom, my ankle still healing, my suit simple, navy, nothing fancy. I limped slightly, but I held my head high. All eyes turned. Murmurs floated across the room. She came back. She actually showed up. David rose, smirk plastered across his face. Isabel, he said, smooth and condescending. I assumed you'd accepted your place off the board. I came back to finish this the right way, I said, my voice calm but firm. He opened his mouth to argue, but I raised my hand. I may not walk the same way I used to, I continued, glancing at my ankle briefly. But I stand taller now because I stand for myself. Gasps echoed across the polished floor. The big screens behind me lit up automatically. Confidential memos, contracts, emails, proof of David's manipulation, fraud, and corruption streamed across the monitors. Executives shifted uneasily in their seats. You thought I disappeared because I was weak, I said, turning slowly to face him. But I left because I needed space to remember who I was. Before you convinced me that power and perfection were everything. David's smirk faltered. This is reckless. You have no idea what this will cost you. I do, I said. And I'm ready. I pulled out a document and placed it on the table. My formal resignation. Immediate. I relinquished my shares, my board seat, everything. Keep your empire, I told him. But I won't be part of it anymore. A few heads turned. An older woman, my mentor from years ago, whispered. Why? Because I am not a product. I am not a brand. I am a person, I said, my voice soft but unwavering. David fumed, but I ignored him. I gathered my laptop and folder. One step at a time I left. For the first time in years, no empire weighed on my shoulders. Only truth. Only choice. Back at the apartment, Tyler and Lily were in the tiny kitchen. Hands dirty from repotting marigolds on the balcony. I stepped outside quietly. Do you have room for one more in this garden? Yes. Tyler looked up, calm certainty in his eyes. Always. Lily ran to me, a smear of dirt on her cheek, a triumphant grin. You get to pick the next flower. I knelt, letting my hands touch the soil alongside theirs. The sun spilled over the horizon. I breathed deeply. Roots. Had roots now. Real ones. Over the next few months, Tyler and I found a rhythm that was messy and beautiful. We built Lily House, a non-profit to help women who had been discarded, manipulated, or abused by systems like the one I had escaped. Tyler built the website. Lily insisted on the name because flowers grow better with sunshine and love. I poured myself into the work. Meetings with volunteers, community outreach, storytelling sessions. I discovered a strength I hadn't known existed. The work was exhausting, sometimes disheartening, but it was mine. And for the first time it felt meaningful. Of course, we had setbacks. One afternoon, a woman came in, trembling, clutching a faded tote bag. She reminded me too much of myself in the alley. I helped her to a chair. Tyler handed her tea. Lily sat beside her, drawing pictures to distract and soothe. I realized then that the safety I had found wasn't just for me. It was something to give. And I could. But life wasn't all heroics and philanthropy. We had ordinary moments, small conflicts, hilarious disasters. Pancake mornings went disastrously wrong at least 3 times a week. Tyler's attempts at grocery shopping without a list ended in comical chaos. Lily had a penchant for redecorating the apartment with crayons and paper. One evening, after a particularly long day at Lily House, I found Tyler asleep on the couch, Lily snuggled against his chest, soft snores filling the air. I sat beside them, hand brushing over his, heart full, eyes misty. I thought about my old life. The boardrooms, the numbers, the calculated smiles. None of that mattered now. I had a family that had chosen me. And I had chosen them. And then the first real twist arrived. David wasn't done. He sent a private investigator to check on me. I found out from a neighbor, a woman who delivered our groceries, that a man had been asking questions. My pulse quickened, but I didn't panic. Tyler handled it quietly, confirming the man left without incident. "You okay?" I asked, standing in the kitchen while he cleaned the dishes. "Yeah," he said softly. "I've got you. Always." His words steadied me. I realized, nothing from my old life could touch me here. Not David, not the board, not the empire I walked away from. Another twist. A journalist called, claiming to want my story for a human interest piece. They wanted me to recount the alley, the escape, the betrayal, the boardroom drama. I stared at the phone. For a moment, the old fear surged up. Exposure, humiliation, loss. Then I thought about Lily, about Tyler, about the women we were helping. Hung up. No one else's narrative would define me. I would tell my story when and how I chose. Winter came, bringing long nights and short days. One snowy evening we huddled together, Lily asleep in Tyler's arms. I traced my fingers over the bracelet Lily had made me, a multicolored, uneven loop of thread. Commitment bracelet, she called it. It wasn't a ring, it wasn't a promise of marriage. But it was a symbol. Voice. And I had chosen. I had chosen to stay. To heal. To build a life with these 2 imperfect, beautiful people. To create something lasting. By spring, Lily House was thriving. Women shared their stories, found jobs, learned skills, began to believe again. Children laughed, scribbled, danced. Tyler, Lily, and I celebrated small victories every day. We had messy breakfasts, quiet nights on the balcony, crayon wars on the living room floor. And every so often I'd think about David. About the empire I had left behind. About the letters, the emails, the missed calls. And I'd smile quietly. Because for the first time I had no regrets. I had everything that mattered. The final twist. I learned that the woman I had helped most, myself, was also helping others in ways I never imagined. Lily House became more than a shelter. It became a community, a family. And as I stood there, watching a little girl take her first unafraid steps across the garden, I realized something profound. Family isn't always born. Sometimes it's built. One act of kindness at a time. And for me that was everything. I hadn't just walked away from power. I had walked toward life. Toward love. New choice. Toward Lily and Tyler. Toward a story that was finally mine to tell. And for the first time I didn't just feel safe. Felt home.